Welcome to Hope for Everybody, a channel that exists to highlight people and places that are all about providing hope to people in need. Check out today's episode.
Hey everybody, I'm Brandon with Hope for Everybody, and on our channel we highlight organizations that are helping give hope for everybody and people whose lives have received hope. I'm here with
Bishop Gary Oliver.
He's going to tell us some background about Manna Joseph Storehouse and how it's helping provide hope for everybody. So, tell us about yourself.
Well, I will tell you very quickly that I grew up in church, grew up around church, grew up seeing a lot of people who had needs, struggling, trying to make ends meet. I grew up as a worship leader and then later became a pastor, of course, here at Encounter Church. And I've been senior pastor here for about 25 years. We're entering our 25th anniversary coming up soon. And so we started Manna Joseph Storehouse, which is a great resource for people. We started that at the initiative of the Holy Spirit leading us to do something for people who had needs. And we get to see a lot of that, as I said, being pastors. And so we have a building to the side of our main building. It's about a 5,000 square foot building. And when my wife and I began to talk about it, and she went after all of the certifications, went after all of the things to do so we could pull it into existence and being. And then we contacted Tarrant County Food Bank, of course, and then from there it just began to grow. And so for 1 year we've been up and running, a little over a year now, and we've been able to feed well over 100,000 people, move almost 1 million pounds of food through here in 1 year's time.
That's remarkable.
It's been amazing.
So from a young age you had a great relationship with God, starting as a worship leader and then becoming a pastor. And as your faith has grown with God, so has your ability to make a difference in people's lives?
Absolutely. And you know, that's what we're all here for anyway, is to help make a difference in other people's lives. This life is not about me. Right. This life is about what can I do? What is my purpose? Why am I here? And what should I be able to do in my lifetime to really help other people? And my wife and I work very hard together in those labors to really bring some real help to the people, because the Manna Joseph Storehouse is not just about food. It's always also about pathways to prosperity, to bring people up, to lift them up, to help them learn how to make money on their own, to get financial literacy, all kinds of help that we can give them. My wife is a doctorate in psychology, my doctorate is in theology, and we work together hand in hand with theology and psychology when we deal with people. And I think it's been very beneficial, and we're seeing a lot of change in people's lives, and that's the joy of all of it, is seeing people be able to get a job, move ahead in life, and then they come back here and serve as volunteers at Manna Joseph Storehouse. So it's a great, great joy to watch this happen.
Right, so you've seen people who needed help, you realized the need, and tried to do something about it yourself. And not just you, but your wife as well. Absolutely.
And you know, my wife is, I'm the spearhead behind the church for as the individual. Holy Spirit is always spearhead of everything, we know. But my wife, through Holy Spirit, is the spearhead of really driving Manna Joseph Storehouse. And she has done a remarkable job. We also have our son and his wife, Luis and Jessa Rivera. They're here to help, and they do the day-to-day, the daily maintenance of the storehouse, for as picking up, stocking the shelves, and there's a whole crew of volunteers that come in and assist all of us. It has really become a family endeavor, and I say family not by blood of human blood, but by the blood of Christ. We are family. And we have come together just to be able to bring this whole concept into fruition and to life. And it's been remarkable because we do see family, we do see community, and that's really, when it really gets down to it, Jesus said, and I'm not going to preach on your ad here, but
well, by all means, if you feel like you want to.
Jesus said very simply that on these two things hang all the law and the prophets, and that is that you love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and your neighbors yourself.
Yes, sir.
And that is something that we preach. That is something that we live. That is something we walk in. Our church is a very diverse church, and consequently, the people that even come to our storehouse, very diverse people. It's people from every background, from every walk of life. We don't necessarily know where they come from, who they are. On a personal level, we get information from them, of course, but we don't dig into their personal lives because it's really more about just serving them, lifting them up, and bringing them to a saving knowledge of Jesus Christ as much as it is giving them food. I want to give them natural food, but I also want to give them spiritual food. True.
That's an amazing thing to actually not just care about feeding them, but something more than that. You know, their spiritual well-being, how their life is going to turn out after you give them the food.
Yeah.
How many volunteers would you say that you have?
Oh gosh, I would say that we can average anywhere between 45 and 50 volunteers on a Saturday. It's pretty amazing, and they come from everywhere. They come from other nonprofits, or they will come from schools, they'll come from workplaces, they'll come from churches. They come from everywhere, and it's pretty cool to watch as the people come in. And we have regulars. We have some that, you know, they just, it's almost like they view this as their job. Nobody gets paid. It's not one of those things. We're not paying salaries over there. We don't have, it's a nonprofit. We don't have salaries. We don't have money to pay salaries. And we do everything we can to just, we spend it back to get the food, to get whatever it is that we need to do to serve the people.
So what is the cost monetarily each month that it takes to provide the food that is necessary to these people?
That would probably be a little hard for me to guesstimate, but I would say that we could easily spend probably $500 to $1,000 a month, $500 to $1,000 a month, easy, because we have all our proteins and meats and things like that we have to purchase. But then you've got the cost of the building, and you've got the AC and all that kind of stuff, and the gas that it takes to run the trucks, and the diesel, and you know, all of those things. So I don't really have a real hard number on that, Brandon, but I can tell you probably close to $2,000 a month that we would spend with everything.
Would you say that at any point you're ever in deficit and need more? Oh
yeah, we could always use help, and we always need help. We need financial help more than we would like to acknowledge sometimes, because we'd like to be able to just take it and run with it, but we definitely do need financial help from time to time, and that is to purchase things like meat and other pieces of food that we can't just get on our own. We have made a great relationship with different stores, and I don't know that I should necessarily name them, but without, you know, making a big deal out of it, but you know, we work with Albertsons to HEB to Dollar General to Walmart to Sam's to Costco. All of them from time to time donate stuff. But you know, sometimes we go for a donation because we're a food pantry, but we get the donation and it's potting soil and plants. And it's kind of hard to feed people potting soil and plants. But we use it, we distribute it, we give it out, we do what we can with it, you know?
Maybe the people who are donating pots and soil are like, grow a garden.
Right? And we've talked about that. In fact, we have established some certain protocols in around our building to help establish a garden growth
That'd be
thing.
great.
And we would love to do that. We would love to eventually see that. Those are things that we really need the money for, because we need to build certain things out. We need to build another storage. We're running out of space. And we need to get like a forklift. We need to purchase a better truck. You know, we need just certain things like that that we could use because we're actually driving an much older truck that is, you know, you kind of have to stand on it to get it all the way down to the food bank, and kind of stand on it to get it all the way back. And you hope the lift gate works when you're taking the food off the truck. But, you know, we could use a better truck. We could use, again, like a forklift. There's so many things that we need around here. But we know that God will provide, and God will put it on the heart of people to bring those items, or to bring the finances for those items. And we trust God in that, and we watch Him do it day after day after day.
If you're liking this content, don't miss out on future episodes. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. Now back to the show.
Nothing is more inspiring than seeing somebody who cares about the Lord, cares about His people, and is trying to make a difference. You know, there's nothing more that inspires somebody to want to try to make a difference themselves. So, I mean, if you're not with all the means that it takes to provide that kind of help on your own, there's people already doing it, and you can help alongside them and people who are already established in doing so. And every little bit of input or anything that's given can help make a difference in somebody's life.
Absolutely. You know, and I'd just like to even say to the people who are watching for a moment that if this is a desire that you have to help people and to help create pathways to prosperity for people, lift them up, help families grow together, help families come up out of poverty, there's ways that you can help us. And being a nonprofit, it is a tax-free donation. If you're at the end of your year, if you're in the quarter, you're trying to work through your taxes or anything, you need to make a donation. This is a great place to make a donation, because this place is making a difference. And we are seeing God lift people up out of poverty, feed them, but feed them spiritually and feed them mentally, feed them with wisdom. Again, as I said earlier, my wife is doctorate in psychology, but she's also a 25-year plus financial advisor. So she helps people understanding their finances. So we do financial literacy. We do all kinds of things. Not only do we do the food, Brandon, but we have a whole division where we get clothing as well. And so we help serve the people with clothing and basic needs like toilet tissue, laundry detergent, things like that. We get that kind of stuff so that we can help people on a full spectrum for their life. And during the holiday season, last year we had one of our church members bought, I forget how many bikes, like 25 bikes or something, and just brought them and offloaded them at the storehouse for little kids. And man, you talk about a joy to see some little tyke getting on a bike and riding off across his yard for Christmas when he didn't think he was going to get anything. That's a joy. And to be able to provide the food for their Christmas dinner, to provide the food for their Thanksgiving meals and things like that. It's great joy, but we want to do more than that. We want to do more than just feed them for a moment. We want to teach them and encourage them and lift them up and educate them so that they can feed themselves and feed their families and break that cycle of poverty off of them and off of their lives. Poverty is usually a mindset. And if you can help people change how they think about life, if you can change people's thought process about what they're looking at. We know there are circumstances that are beyond our control for all of us that cause all of us to go through difficult times. But there's also a better way of thinking about life and approaching life. And my wife and her team are so great at just helping people do that. So
What is your website if people would like to give or reach out or come to your church? What's your website?
The website is mannajosephstorehouse.org, and then we have a Facebook, Manna Joseph Storehouse, and it's MANNA Joseph's Storehouse. The idea comes from manna that God gave the children of Israel when they were in the wilderness or in the desert, and he rained down the manna for them every day. So it was the bread of heaven. And then Joseph's Storehouse comes from the idea of where Joseph raised and took all of the food in and stored it up for the 7 years of famine that was coming. The 7 years of greatness and then the 7 years of famine, and he had it stored up. And I believe there's something in God about storing up things. I think it's very important that this is a time. We're living in a critical time, and it's a critical season for the world all the way around. And I believe it's time for us to have people in our lives that can teach us how to store up, and people that store up, and people that we can partner with, people that we can work with. And again, this is a great place to work with. It's a great place to donate to. It's a great place to walk in and say, hey, I want to volunteer. You know, we love to see families come and bring their children 10, 12, 13 years old that have them come in and they serve the people. It's very beautiful.
Right. And it's important for people to know and realize when God is speaking to you, for you to reach out and try to help make a difference. Because if you ignore God's call on your life, it can be detrimental.
Absolutely.
Before we go, do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions?
Not at all.
As a person who's involved with helping people, have you noticed a work that another individual or nonprofit was doing that you wished you had learned about sooner, whether it be a service they provide or a way of doing things?
Absolutely. We try to take every moment as a learning moment, as a teaching moment. We look into everything that everybody does, and we see those who serve veterans. We see those who create housing through RVs and different things. And we have different friends in the nonprofit world out here that have connected with us on a great level. And we look at that kind of stuff and we learn from it. And we try to educate ourselves on what they're doing. But some things that we see are really good, but they're not necessarily a part of our vision or a part of our call, because we're not enabled to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like,
so do you agree that it'd be, and make life easier, if there was a website where you could instantly connect with other nonprofits and individuals to communicate with them?
For sure. And I think it's a great thing, because again, this is all about community. And it's not just the community of the people that we serve, but it's bringing that community into touch with a larger community that can serve other needs, and that we, as those who provide for needs, become community ourselves and help and encourage one another. Community is the richness of life. It is the life source of life. And I believe it's very important that we do that.
So do you believe a website like that would make it where the nonprofit that you might have not heard about that's in your area could become more like a friend that you can refer somebody to, rather than just a stranger that you don't know?
Absolutely. It would be very beneficial for us to be able to recommend other places, and for people to recommend us for some that have needs. I think it'd be very positive.
Do you think it would be affordable at $50 a month for you to pay for a subscription on a website like this, where you could know about the person who you're coming to help and whether or not they're taking advantage of other nonprofits in your area?
Yeah, I think it would be beneficial, and I think it would be doable for most organizations. I think everybody has to look at everything overall and say, you know, is this beneficial for us, and is it worth it for us? But I think that $50 is a reasonable sum to think about with that. Absolutely.
What is your address if people would like to come to your church?
Your
food pantry?
The church name is Encounter Church. We also have website with that, encounterchurchoffortworth.org, and we have Facebook, and we stream live from here. The address is 10180 Rolling Hills Drive, Benbrook, Texas 76126. Benbrook is just a little bedroom community off of Fort Worth, off of the southwest side, if you're not familiar. But it's really within just a stone's throw of Fort Worth. We're right here at Fort Worth. We can actually call our address Fort Worth or Benbrook. We go by Benbrook because that is the area we're in. But it is, again, 10180 Rolling Hills Drive, and it is Benbrook, Texas, 76126. And the website, again, is encounterchurchoffortworth.org. And you can find us on Facebook. You can find Manna Joseph Storehouse on Facebook. And the website for Manna Joseph Storehouse is mannajosephstorehouse.org.
What time does your church service start? And on what days of the week can people come to your food pantry?
We distribute 2 days a week on Tuesdays and Saturdays. And both those days start at noon. And then our service is at 10 o'clock on Sunday morning. And then on Wednesday night, my wife and I do sort of a podcast or video cast from the auditorium that people are welcome to come to. It's called The Secret Place, and that's where we really engage in theology and psychology. We bring the theology and we add the psychology to it to show how to live out and make the word applicable to our lives today.
So if there was something you could say out there to somebody who's struggling right now, or whether it be with addiction or just situations in life, what would you say to them right now to maybe give them some hope?
I would love to speak to that, because there is always hope. There is always an answer. There is always something better. And all you have to do is ask. God says to us, if we lack wisdom, in the book of James, he tells us if we lack wisdom, all we have to do is ask, and God gives to us liberally and will not withhold from us. And so if there's a place where you're struggling today, I would encourage you to take a moment to just sit, just quiet yourself, quiet your soul, quiet your spirit, quiet your mind, and just ask God for the wisdom of how to get out of the situation you're in. I remember my own story, my own testimony. I got really addicted to a substance at one point in years and years ago, and I asked God for the wisdom how to get that out of my system. Now, he may tell you something totally different, but I know what the Lord told me. He told me to drink water for 3 days and eat no food, and I kept my belly full of water. I just felt like I was supposed to gorge myself on water for 3 days, and at 3 days, my addictions left, everything broke. I never have gone back to that substance ever again in my lifetime. And I can tell you, God can do the same for you. He is here to help you. He is your best friend. He is your only source for true life. Go to Him. Go to Him in prayer. Believe, ask, and you shall receive.
We've reached the end of today's episode of Hope for Everybody. If you'd like to be a part of the show and tell us your story, please visit us online at hopeforeverybody.org.